All right. So moving forward, you will see that when you start your class with a group of 20, group of 30, we are not able to ask these questions to all of them, right? It's because of the interest of everybody's time, and we don't want to extend our class more than one hour and maybe 1.5 hours or two. It's because after some time you will not be able to focus into the class, and that's how it works, right? Because you're looking into your screen, and at some point you're going to be out of focus. And for that reason, we will try to select few people from the group and ask them these questions. And you don't know who's going to get that question, so always be ready, I would say, but also learn from others, right? um, when somebody's answering these questions, you can see what mistakes they're making, and you can also see what they're doing good. So either way, you're going to be able to learn something from that person, whether they're making a mistake, whether they are doing something really, really good. All right. So now, sorry about the noise. All right. So let's see. I'm going to pick somebody and then we go from there. 1 second, guys. Sorry about that, guys. So, all right. So these 3 questions is expected to be answered in your workplace every single day. And this is going to give you a good impression where that you have to learn, right? Because if you really didn't do anything yesterday, it'll be very uncomfortable for you for that day. You can probably say, I did research, I did, go over something, or I just work with, David or something, whoever you're working with. But it is going to be very, very uncomfortable if you really don't have anything to say for these 3 questions. Now, what I recommend for a fresher, you started a job, right? And this is your first daily meeting or first daily stand-up meeting. And obviously this happens daily. Okay. And here, what you should say, what you shouldn't say. You're going to see developers, they're going to say, yesterday I was working on AS 215. Today I'll be continuing to do that. That's it, done. No blocker, right? No issues. And their answer is very, very short. For example, right? But then everybody knows what they're working on. Everybody knows these guys are working really hard. I'm talking about developers, for example, right? Business guys comes in and they said, oh, yesterday I was working on getting hold of the product owner, maybe Susan, for example. Yesterday I was working with Susan to come up with the new requirement, and we're still working on it. Done. Very, very simple, but nobody really is providing enough details. Now, what I want from you guys, some of you guys, okay, there you go. All right, so what I want from you guys, and how do you answer these 3 questions, is that when you start your day, I want you to start writing down what you did for the whole day, right? So that means you fixed or found a bug, right? Say found a bug, for example, let's say, right? Executed test cases, meaning you ran some test cases, and let's say test cases, and maybe like 5 of them, and then you started creating test scenario, and you want to give them like for what, like for example, let's say this is your ticket number as 550, for example. So for ticket number, everybody knows what the ticket number is, and then you say for ticket number this, I created scenarios for ticket number as let's say 9, 10, whatever, something. I'm just giving it, and a new bug that you created, the new bug will be like, for example, BG, something like that. I'm just giving some kind of ID. In this case, it's just random. Let's say 23. So when you start, you will say, hey, so yesterday found a bug, BG23, when I was testing AS 910, and I also wrote scenarios for AS 5 50, and I'll be continue to do testing today. But I will also follow up with this bug to make sure that it is getting taken care of. It is a high priority. And this bug is a reason for my blocker, which I'm blocked on testing is 910. I'll have to wait until this one finishes or this one gets fixed. Today, I will continue to work on my 550, and I will also execute and report any bugs that I find. And at the end, you're going to say, I am not totally blocked. I am only blocked on 910, but I'll be continuing to work on 550. Thank you. Right. This is an ideal way for you to say about your daily stand-up, and you'll feel good, and everybody will be like, wow, this is so much, right? This is professional. This is great. Not everybody will follow that standard, but you will follow that standard. It doesn't matter what the company norm is, like, how they do their thing, is because Agile Scrum developers, they kind of ignore some of the Agile Scrum best practices. And this is one of the best practices for Agile Scrum. So now developers, they take it lightly. They just want to do their work. That's it, period. They just want to focus on that specific window they're looking through, and that's it. They don't want to look into the entire house. Okay. And also they don't really want to, and some of the developers are really nice to follow this, right? You will see that some of them are really, really passionate about this. But what I want you to be passionate about, how you present your status, which is daily update or daily stand-up, right? And so what I want you to do is that write everything down for the day, and then you want to give details, right? A little bit details, and these will help you to kind of get the trust from your team. The trust meaning is that when you, let's say for some reason, you're not able to finish something and you're taking longer than usual, they will trust that and they will say, okay, he's continuing to work on it. That's fine. They're not going to question it. Like, when you will be finished? Why is it taking too long? So they will not really grill you into things because you're providing so much details. So just keep that in mind. Daily stand-up meeting happens every day at work, regardless of what kind of work you're doing. You could be a developer, you could be a QA, you could be a business, you could be a product owner, you could be a Scrum Master. So now, if he's a Scrum Master, they have a bigger responsibility here, right? They will enforce. Who's a Scrum Master? And obviously, few more people join. That's great. And if you missed anything, you can always go back to the video and come back, but you haven't missed too much. We're just talking about a Agile ceremony, which is daily stand-up. And we'll talk about Agile. We'll go over what is the best practices and what you will have to do, right? So this is something that I am giving you more details because this is something that Shanto and Socrates, they will probably ask, they'll pick random people from the group here, and they will ask you this question. Now, these questions, you're expected to already know that these are the questions that you have to answer. Nobody's going to say what you did yesterday, okay, what you will be doing today, and if you have any issues. Then nobody's going to do that unless that is the first ever call for the whole team. All right. As soon as I say, all right, Sultana, you're next, immediately you will say, all right, so if it's good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever is the time, right? So right now, good evening, right? Oh, I'm sorry, it's good afternoon, sorry. So you're gonna say good afternoon, everybody. And yesterday I worked on BG23, BG23, and found that bug and logged it. Also worked with the developer who worked on that issue. I've also worked on the test cases for 910, which is 5 of them was done. I wrote test scenarios for 550, and I'm continuing to work on 550, trying to finish that today while AS 910 is being fixed, which is the bug. I am not blocked. I'm partially blocked on 910. That's it. Thank you. That's it, right? Sometime they will ask you to pick the next person. It's just really, really what the company or what your team does it to make it more fun. Okay, so nothing like, oh, this has to be this way, and that's it. Everything that I'm saying, it's based on a standard, right? This is a standard. Now a company can say, okay, daily stand-up means you just come in, literally a couple of minutes, you're going to say, oh, yesterday I was working on this and today I'll be working on that. Not a problem. No, I don't have any blocker, and that's it. And meeting is end, right? Everybody's going to do the same. But I would like you to at least follow this standard, because that way you're giving more details, and that will be a good example of the rest of the team members to say, okay, we got to do the same thing, right? It's when you follow a higher standard and better quality, right? Everybody will follow. So you may end up, having some influence. You may influence someone in your team saying, okay, this person is giving so much details when they're doing their stand-up meetings, so I'll do the same. The reason why I'm explaining so much about the stand-up is because in a team, over time, gradually, you'll see like they just really don't care. They just join and they will say, oh, yesterday I was working on this and today I'll be working on that. And it's because everybody knows what that person working on. So don't take that lightly, saying, okay, wow, everybody's saying that, I'll do the same. It's because maybe like his work involves so much that everybody kind of have to, chip in, or they know what they're doing. And that's why he doesn't have to go into too much details. But I don't want to speak for the other person, right? I want to make sure that you guys doing the right thing and sound more and more professional at work. All right. So with that said, this is out of the way, and let's do a practice with some of you guys, right? I'm gonna pick like 3 people today, okay? 3 lucky ones today, and then I want you to start by these questions, right? So you don't have to follow what I have. You, in your case, you want to say related to this course. Have you done any research? If you didn't, then that's fine. Talk about what have you done related to this course. Anything at all. Maybe you were thinking of something, maybe you looked up to something, maybe you did something to save you more time, so you can put more time toward learning something new. So let's see who can be that person. Okay. Wasim, I'll go with you first. Okay. It's going to be 3 lucky pickers today, and then we're going to continue with our class. So you can try to answer that question.
Hi, everyone. So yesterday I had a conversation with Mr. Mohsin regarding the classes and payments. And I had like a couple questions which he was able to answer, just to get an overview that in future what we're going to do. And today I'm still in the class, but I'm just wondering if this is the same thing as the last week, or you're going to teach something new.
It'll be something new. I
Okay.
repeat it. So it'll be something new to make sure that you guys get a value out of this class. Yes,
Okay.
we are starting tomorrow.
Mhm.
We're gonna follow the syllabus tomorrow. We're gonna follow the syllabus strictly, but today you will get maybe something that will help you down the line.
Okay. And at the moment, I don't have any issues.
Okay,
So
good.
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
This was great. All right, and next person. I don't have a wheel to kind of select somebody, so I'm just gonna randomly see whose name sounds more. All right, Rima, you're next. All right, you got 5 seconds, and then we're gonna move on to the next person. All right, we're gonna go with Hasina. Seems like she has a thumbs up. Do you want to give your daily update? All right, because this is the first one, we're basically, okay, there we go. You got it. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Yeah, I cannot hear just. Good afternoon. I'm Hasina. I'm from Los Angeles. Actually, today I found some bug from employee database, and my case, I wrote the case number, wrote the line, column number 9, and the row is the 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote the scenario also, case scenario. And I'm not block any other tested. I'm okay, and I will be continue this issue. Thank you so much.
This is great. This is great. At least, you came up with, even if you didn't do this and you came up just to answer these questions, this is great because this is good for the practice. Remember, when you start a job, it will be for real. So here you can make all the mistakes, and we're gonna try to help you to do
Yeah, I
that.
just try.
That's good. Thank you
Because
for trying. Like I said,
I believe that if we practice in back end day, I have a lot of mistake. It will be recovered when I practice with someone.
yeah, you definitely did better than a lot of people when they do start, like our last batch. There were, we've seen performance of some students where yeah, comparably you did good. All right, so let's do the next person, 3, and then we start. Right, again, I'm not trying to pick on you. This is for you, so you have a good public speaking voice, and also you don't feel like you're you nervous or anything, because this is going to be everyday thing.
Yeah.
And it will not only help you, but it will also help everybody else. So Hussein, you want to go next? It seems like you're already on mute.
Yeah. So basically, I can imagine that I'm already in the project. So my conversation will be like that. So, hey everyone, good morning to everyone. So yesterday, I was working on access issues. So thanks God that I got all the accesses. So today I have been working on uh, specifically writing test cases on in the TestNG, and these I have been assigned already AS910. So hopefully I will be working throughout this week. So um, and as of now, I am pretty good with all the accesses, no issues, no blockers.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right, so this is sounds more like work, right? And thank you for trying. And like I said, this sounds more like work, that you're actually in a team, right? So if anybody in the call listened to the last stand up from from Hussein, it will be very much same. You're gonna see your coworkers will sound whatever he just sounded like just a minute ago. So this is definitely great, and we're gonna do a few more rounds of, since so we started with the meeting situation, we're gonna do onto the next meeting, so that way you guys kind of get some familiarity on what kind of meetings that you'll be into, and this will give you guys more confirmation and more I would say confidence when you join a company. So let me just find some shapes to help me out with here. Okay, drawing, maybe that's better. So this basically takes over. This happens daily, right? And I'm going to give you a time frame, and I'm going to give it a name. And later in the course, when we actually follow our course material, you're going to know a few things ahead of time where you may feel more confident to be able to grasp those information. Okay, so this time frame, we're going to give it a name. Okay, this time frame, let's call that a where do I write? Okay, let me expand this a little bit more. We're going to call that sprint. Okay, this duration of time frame, we're going to say sprint. Now this is equal to, let's say, 2 weeks. Okay, so I'm going to give you what kind of meetings that you'll get in 2 weeks. Okay, fair enough. You guys think this is too much, then we change our topic. Again, remember, this is not part of the syllabus. Syllabus will go more on the fashion where you will follow a gradual, I'm trying to give you guys a little bit more information. So when you do follow your regular classes, you will feel that you already know a few things, and it's going to help you to answer those questions. So let's break down your 2 weeks. Okay, and again, guys, I'm open to hear if it's too much for you to grasp, let me know. So now this is the first week and this is the second week. You don't work on the weekend. So think that this is Monday to Friday and this is Monday to Friday. And we call this Monday to Friday as sprint. And let's say this is the first time ever you started. So that's your sprint number 1. Okay. So this is your sprint number 1. In these 2 weeks, and again, we're talking in terms of agile, and we're going to go in a little bit more detail, but let's talk about the meetings first. And that's why, if you don't understand why we call it a sprint, if you don't understand why we call field names, just keep in mind, I'm trying to go more into the meetings, and we will explain to you what Agile Scrum is, and we'll go more depth what Agile Scrum is all about. So in this whole time, right, 2 weeks, 5 days here and 5 days there, do you have daily stand-up every day? That's my question to you.
Yes.
Yes, you do, right? There is a reason why you call the daily stand-up. So I'm gonna like resemble that by maybe doing a line here. All right, so just trying to give you guys a graph. My drawing is not gonna look so pretty, but we'll try our best. And this one, maybe we do a lower 24. Okay, right here. I'm just gonna expand this. So this will give you a good overall picture in terms of what you should be expecting. And so this gonna be, okay. So this is your daily stand-up that is taking place for the whole 2 weeks. Let's not even worry about the whole entire year, month, and whatever. Just know that you're gonna be working 2 weeks in a company, that's it, okay? And one thing at a time, right? So just worry about the 2 weeks only. The next meeting that we're going to talk about, it happens in the very beginning. So just like an essay, think about when you're writing an essay, right, in your school. And the next meeting we're talking about is called, I'm going to give it a name, sprint planning meeting, okay? And this is your next meeting. So anybody has any idea when this will take place? And then I'm gonna start writing. You guys figure this out, okay? And then we'll talk about it. Go ahead.
So I think sprint planning is definitely before start. I mean, just the beginning of 2 weeks.
Okay. Anybody else want to provide their thoughts on this? You agree with him?
I think yes.
Okay. Anybody else agree?
Maybe.
Okay, so for maybe, we'll try to confirm and give you a solid answer. All right, that's good. That's good. So that gave me enough time and also gave you guys enough time to think about. So sprint planning actually does happen in the beginning of your sprint. Think about this way. How can you even start the sprint if you never planned anything? How do you know what stories to work on? How do you know which requirement you'll be working on? How do you know how much time it'll take for you to, finish? How do you know, all the work that you will be committing, meaning you're going to say, I will finish this in 2 weeks, that you can actually finish? How do you know your coworkers who will be working for that 2 weeks duration, and who will be getting assignments to what, depending on their expertise? And how do you know that things that are actually ready to be worked on in these 2 weeks? Also the priority, because just because you want to build a website doesn't mean you're going to start from anywhere. Everything happens with a very specific plan. Priority and priority. Priority, you'll hear a lot from me, is that without the priority, they're not going to go on the first sprint. So anything that has a higher priority will be going into this sprint. Anybody has an idea? So this is just to start, just like an essay introduction, basically. Anybody know what a sprint planning meeting, like what do we do in a sprint planning meeting?
This is a workflow plan share with the every employee or project team
Mhm.
what kind of work, what kind of requirement, and what kind of deadline. What is the deadline for the completion done? And
Okay.
also, yeah, also what kind of requirement and starting date, work starting date and finishing date, and also fulfill the requirement.
Okay.
I think this kind of
Yeah.
information shared the
Got-
planning meeting.
You got most of it. Anybody else want to try to provide something that she didn't mention?
No.
Okay. So in the sprint planning, right, you do plan what for these 2 weeks, right? The name itself, like, it's going to be harder for you to memorize. So I would recommend not to memorize. But what I rather want you to focus the name of the meeting. A sprint is just the name of that duration. It could be 2 weeks, or it could be 3 weeks, or it could be 4 weeks, depending on what the company and your team agrees to. Now, what I want you to focus is the name of the meeting, is that planning. And then you got a grooming, and you got retrospective. When you say planning, if you're planning a wedding, you got to make sure that you got absolutely everything. You get a list of things, and you want to make sure that that list of things are fulfilled before the wedding starts, not after. Okay, so that's why it takes place in the beginning, where you talk about requirements, and I will give them a name called user story in this case. Okay, user story is basically requirements, where you talk about if the user story is ready to be in this sprint, and if these stories have everything that you need. Also, if the stories has a value in terms of points for estimation. So in sprint planning, you estimate your work, you estimate overall work for the entire team for this two weeks, and predict you guys can finish or not, and then commit to a specific number. So for example, you got yourself, let's see, I'm going to give you guys so let's say 20 user story. User story, think like requirement. Okay, in 20 user story, you guys pointed based on days. So 1 point is equal to 1 day, just to make your life easy. Okay, 2 point is equal to 2 days, depending on how much time is going to take. So now you guys pointed that's 50 points, right? So you may ask, okay, then I need 50 days. No, because this is a group effort, the whole team is working on it. So I'm sure 50 points is something that you guys can cover in 2 weeks. Now, 50 points, your scrum master, right? Let's say your leader or your team manager is going to say, guys, can we focus on 50 and be able to finish 50? Okay, that is the question, right? Can we say we will be able to finish? This is when you say yes, that means you committed. You committed as a team saying, yes, we will be able to finish this 50. Okay, and then I will basically talk about when they will kind of want to say, okay, we committed to 50, but we didn't finish 50 points. That is, we got to do it better and all that stuff. So we will go into that. So this is actually just size estimation. Every team has a different way of estimating. For this call, I'm just going to say points, and 1 point is equal to 1 day. And that's how you were able to estimate as a team, not just you yourself. Whoever is going to work on that user story, each and every single one of them, all of you guys said, okay, story number 1, it should be 2 points. Story number 2 is going to be 1 point. And then there is a debate. No, I don't think it's a 2 point. I think it's 1 point. And then why is that so, right? And then you'll have to answer those questions. Yeah, I think it's a 1 point is because it's not a lot of work. Then they'll say, okay, it's not a lot of work for you, but it's a lot of work for me. Then you're going to say, oh, all right, well, in that case, I will go with 2. Not a problem, right? So there will be a little bit of debate there, right? When you do size estimation for each user story, you will then total all of the estimated points, and then you will commit it in that sprint to make sure that you're able to say that, okay, as a group, we can finish. Somebody raised their hand. Hussein, you want to ask your question?
Yeah, so basically here's the meeting with the team, like QA team, or here's involved devs team, Scrum Master, and also like a database team or AWS team involved in this meeting. Is this for whole team meeting or specific QA team only?
This will be your development team, and I will probably give you a little bit of idea, right? So development team includes your Scrum and Master, right? Your developers, right? That Scrum Master is only one, right? So developers could be more than one. So for us, let's say 6. And then we got QA, including yourself, is let's say 4. And then you got BA. BA is just going to be 1, to be honest. They don't need more than 1. And then product owner, maybe 1, right? So this is the whole team. And that's it. This is the whole team that you need. Now, database, if there is significant changes going on, and then database team will be also present. If the database work is going on, then yes, they will be also present. But database team consider as separate. The AWS team is more on the DevOps team, right? So they do their own thing, and you're going to see it's hard to find them because they're involved in overall, all of the projects. So this is how your team structure look like if you're in a small group like an agile where you follow 2 weeks of sprint. Guys, I just want to do a disclaimer real quick, is that some of you guys that are familiar, this is going to feel good. Some of you guys that are not familiar, just bear in mind that we're not expecting you to understand this on the first pass. There will be classes where we talk about the entire Agile Scrum and explain everything, more details. Today, what I'm trying to help here is that I'm trying to make sure that you guys get some sneak peek right into the meetings and your daily life when you get a job, right? What kind of meetings that you're going to be involved in the first 2 weeks. So that way, this is going to give you more confirmation that, again, I can do this. You know what? This is fun. I'm trying to make sure that this seems to be as fun as possible. So that way you get more motivation, right? That's the idea. Tomorrow we're going to follow the syllabus, and then onward, we're going to follow the syllabus more strictly. All right. So with that said, this is your team, and you just did the estimation, and you basically do your, let's say, 20 stories. And then here you want to ask all the question you want. As a QA, in order for you to remove any sort of need of you coming and asking them question later, you should probably ask the question here and say, hey, I don't understand this requirement. Can you explain to me, where will be this, let's say, clear. Okay. Annotation. I just want to clear all drawings. Okay, that's good. So where will be this story, and what part of the application and so on, right? You just have to make sure that you ask all the questions that you can in the beginning, so that way you already know what you're going to be working on. Now, with the name, remember, I want you to focus on the name. Planning happens the beginning. Okay, just put that into your mind. Daily stand up, daily stand up happens every single day. And then grooming. What does grooming means on the first place? And then you know exactly when this takes place. Okay, so grooming, think about male grooming their beard, right? They're making it look nice, and putting into a shape where they are satisfied with it, right? Or maybe grooming, you take your dog or cat, whatever, and then you get them groomed. So think about what that could be and tell me when this grooming will take place. Anybody want to try?
Probably when we will learn at least something, right?
Okay. Anybody else want to try?
Yeah, I have an idea.
Yeah.
I think is when is the project is ongoing, middle of the time, is there any change, any requirement should be changed, or any new requirement is coming? So co-worker, everyone is sitting, seat and the requirement is a refix. I mean, something is need to be is number 2 requirement. Maybe the requirement is coming from the I don't need the rooftop right now. I need the frontier work. So
Okay.
any kind of change or any kind of priority set, you can fix again.
Okay, that's
I
fine.
think maybe, I'm not sure.
That's fine. That's fine. We'll confirm whether you're right or everybody else right. So let's
here.
go ahead, Hussein.
Hi. So I think the grooming is another word, can be refinement, which is more used, often. So here's a refinement means, or the like a grooming means to me is like in a spring time frame, which is like a middle of the sprint, or like almost end of the sprint, when team realize that some items can be backlog, or some portion of work can be incompleted. So then that type of conversation will be involved in this meeting. That's my understanding. Maybe I'm not.
Okay. I would say a bit more relevant, but go
can
ahead,
I-
Rima. Yeah.
I think this is the kind of discussion between the development team or product owner.
Mhm. Okay, and let me just change the color to orange. All right, cool. All right, so that's, all of you guys have something right. I don't want to say anybody is wrong here, because you guys got partially something right, okay? And now let me ask you guys a few questions. A few question here is that when you make sure that 20 user stories in your sprint planning, don't you want to make sure that these 20 stories actually ready to be introduced into the planning meeting? Like imagine like you're sitting on a planning meeting and you have to groom at that time. That is a very inconvenience. For example, when you groom, you don't know for sure if that story is ready for, ready to be developed, if that story will be ready or not, right? First, you have to be able to groom it to make sure that it is something that meets the criteria of readiness to be introduced in the sprint planning, where we talk about putting it into a sprint so they can work on this 2 weeks. Now, don't you think it makes more sense? There is another meeting that takes place where this 20 user story, we talk about them to make sure that they're ready. So that way we can do that sprint planning and all that. So now grooming comes into a place where if you had another sprint, like let's say this sprint already started, right? And now in 2 weeks later, you're going to do another sprint where you do 2 weeks of development, right? Where you do everything that you can. And this grooming will happen mid-sprint. Doesn't mean all the stories that in 20 sprint right here, sorry, 20 user stories, this 20 user story belongs to sprint 1, and you don't talk about those in that grooming. You talk about 20 new user stories, 30 new user stories. And so the purpose is that when you do another 2 weeks near future, right? And I'm going to do a drawing right here. So you're doing another 2 weeks, for example, right after this, and this is a weekend, and this is your 2 weeks. So now at this point right here, you did a sprint grooming where you are able to groom, let's say, you're able to groom 20 more user stories. These are new, okay? New 20 more user stories. Again, user stories is requirement, okay? Sorry, Q. And now you're ahead of that, right? So now when the next sprint starts, I'm gonna do a drawing. The same sprint planning takes place, right? Because that's how you're gonna start your sprint. And we give it a name, maybe that's better, right? So this is, we give it a name, sprint 2, right? And you do your planning. Now you have 20 user stories ready to be discussed and be able to be able to commit to that specific point. So that means sizing, estimation, and also ask questions more, because you already is familiar with the 20 user stories because you were in the grooming and you help them groom the user story. When you do grooming, what do you do? That's my question. Anybody want to take a pass on this, and then we we start. I'm gonna start writing some pointers here. What do you do when you do grooming? What does grooming means? So you want to make sure that make sure user story is complete, right? And what does complete means? That means it has, let's say, when you have a requirement, the requirement will have steps, right? How to get to that part of the application. Then it should have, let's say, and we call that step to reproduce, for example. As is functionality, as is feature, for example. That means how is it behaving now that you want to change it to something new, right? And then what it is that you want to change. Okay, and then you want to show a representation, visual representation of how it should look like. So that is called wireframe and design document. So in grooming, you want to make sure all of these things are present for these 20 user stories. Therefore, when you do the next sprint, your sprint planning meeting, you can talk about this 20 sprint, and you can work on this 20 sprint into the whole 2 weeks time frame. Anybody want to help here with a retrospective? Again, focus on the name. What is retrospective means? That will reveal why and when we kind of do this kind of meeting. Anybody want to try what retrospective could be, and when do you do this?
I think it is basically on regular basic discussions where the team member usually recent work or the first work, and they're gonna discuss about the improvement of the process.
Yes, somewhat right. And who wants to answer? I mean, I'm seeing people's unmuting. That means you want to answer. So one at a time. Go ahead. Hasina,
Yeah.
first.
I think retrospective meeting is that if there is any change need to be the previous requirement, then it will be fixed again. And also it depends on the budget, it depends on the time, but it will be fixed.
Okay, so you're saying just look back and see what have you done wrong. Okay.
Yes.
It's
Not the wrong. If there is new requirement coming, for example, I have a regular pen, but I need the or I have a desktop. I need to the laptop. So if it's something change, requirement coming change, so it will be fixed. He need the instead of laptop, he need the desktop.
okay. Somewhat there, but not all the way. Who was going to go next? Let's see. That you wanted to answer. Anybody else want to try before we reveal what it is for retrospective? All right, so let's go. All right, go ahead.
Said not real. I don't have any idea.
Oh, you don't have an idea. Okay, that's good. For you, next time, just write your names because I don't know how to address you. It's just
May I? It's actually Sarwat Wasim because I am on my phone right now.
Okay.
And also laptop.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay, I see. Okay, that's fine. So now I know. All right, cool. All right. So now,
May I?
sure, go for it.
I'm not sure though, but based on the previous two, it might be in the retrospective meeting, we might create another set of user story based on what we have learned from the previous two, and get a final setting of new requirement just to make the user story even more defined based on the requirement of the product owner.
Okay, you're partially right. And okay, so I think you're the last person who wanted to answer, so that's good. Guys, again, when you guys give it a try, that helps, right? That helps a lot because I know what you're thinking, and then I can provide an answer that may be easier to understand or that may be more like technical, right? So that definitely helps me, but also it helps everybody else in the call, right? They hear perspective. So always encourage you to speak. All right, so with that said, we got the retrospective meeting. First, I would like to reveal this happens in the end of the sprint. You remember I talked about sprint is like like an essay, right? So you had an introduction, which is sprint planning. You had your main course, like for example, the main course is actual work, not this, not the grooming. And then you have your conclusion, which is the retrospective meeting. Conclusion is basically what you want to do in retrospective meeting is, if I describe physically what happens when people worked on site, it's basically your Scrum Master coming in and saying, guys, I need feedback. I need my feedback so I can improve. So now you are expected to answer two questions here, right? So what went well? So I'm going to put it like this. And the other one is not well, right? What didn't go well for the sprint? And I'll give you guys some pointers. What can you mention, what you shouldn't mention, and things like that. Out of the bat, if you had bad experience with your coworker, you don't want to mention these type of things, anything relevant to talking about somebody individual, you never want to, obviously you want to, if it's harassment, you want to, that's different. That's, you go to HR, you don't talk in the meeting. Here, what you want to address is related to the last 2 weeks. The sprint number 1, last 2 weeks that you worked in, the 20 user stories that you guys worked in, while working into these 20 user stories, what actually went very well and what didn't go well. Okay, so now if you say, oh, so I'll go first, my pointer for well is that I was talking to Raj, and you know, I'm so glad that he has so much time to help me, and he worked on user story such and such, and because he's a developer, he was able to give me more information on how it works, and that actually saved me a lot of time because I was writing my test cases, test scenarios, and then executed them. It saved me a lot of time. Raj has been very helpful to show me what he worked on. So now I'm a Scrum Master, right? So now I'm going to switch my voice. I'm a Scrum Master, and I'm going to come back. I'm like, oh, great to hear that. That is called teamwork. Okay, so this happened. Let me, hold on a second. My keyboard lost charge. Plug that in. Okay, so I'm going to say, wow, teamwork. Okay, and then I'm going to say also, this is also for communication. So communication, well, communication, right, between teams. So I'm going to write things that will be very much like summarized version of what you're saying. I don't know why this has become like this communication. Okay, maybe we need more space. And okay. Okay, so I'm just going to go into the next one, teamwork, communication. Right, so that's it, right? And you're gonna, obviously I'm not gonna write your story that you said, okay, Raj helped you in many ways and this and that. This is just for the team to see. Okay, that's great. Do you want to give me what didn't go well? So basically not well. I'm just gonna shorten that up instead of writing what didn't go well, right? So you're gonna say, well, throughout this whole 2 weeks, last 2 weeks, one thing that I noticed is that in the morning around 11 to 12, the QA server goes down, and therefore I can't work for that hour. In that time, sometimes I'm able to take my lunch and finish my lunch ahead of time, but this is very inconvenience for me. And also, I don't know when that comes back. Sometimes it comes back an hour later, sometimes it comes back an hour and a half. So it's very mysterious. So we need to kind of talk about this in this meeting to make sure that this never happens again, right? So you're saying you notice some issues here. So it's okay, server QA server down, right? So I'm gonna not well QA server down. So I'm writing your thought, right? I'm a Scrum Master right now. Okay, so I'm writing it for you, and you just tell me. That's it. Okay, so that's great. Now, similar to that, everybody does the same thing, right? What went well, and we're listing everything. Okay, we're listing what didn't go well. Everything is in writing because you're gonna get an email with all this information later. Now, that's gonna happen in the respective meeting. Retrospective meeting, for you to like kind of remember what that is, I would say think about look back. You're looking back into the 2 weeks that you and your team worked on things that you did and what actually worked and what didn't work. Okay, so now another person can come in and they can say what went well. You can say, oh, the user stories is very small, so it was good because we were able to finish it quickly, and it was very much with all the information that we needed, so I didn't have a lot of communication to the BA or product owner because it was already there, so I don't have to talk to them. So then I will be writing well-written user stories. And then what didn't go well, and now that person could say, what didn't go well for me is, well, one thing that didn't go well is because I was trying to reach the database team for test data, or I was trying to reach the database team for a few questions, and they didn't really reach back. I sent them an email. I actually tried to walk over to their desk and I didn't find them. So it's kind of putting me, blocking situation. I can't really move forward. I need their confirmation. So moving forward, who should we actually get in touch? Now your Scrum Master is going to come back and say, okay, that's great. That's a great information. So assume that everybody in the team provided their input and we're ready to go. Right now, Scrum Master is going to say, guys, it has been great. Everything that went well, he's going to read and he's going to explain. Everybody's going to explain their thought. If you write not well, you have to explain why do you think server goes down, what happens, give more details, and they will come to you. For example, let's say Saif wrote, Kiwi server goes down. They're going to, Saif, what do you think? Why do you think it went down? Can you tell us more about it? And now, because Saif experienced this issue, he will say, okay, look, 11 to 12 every day, this has been happening. I believe the other team is working on the servers and they put it down at that time. And that takes a lot of time away from our side. So we can't really work on it. And then like, oh, okay, we got it. Okay, all right, fine. So I'm going to reach out to that team. So as a Scrum Master, I want to make sure that you get everything that you need. So I'm going to create myself some action item. This action item means I want to make sure my team has everything. Any kind of not well here, I will be writing some sort of action items to fix that kind of issue because it's not well. And Agile Scrum basically is this in the sprint, the way we work 2 weeks duration, we want to continuously improve. So the sprint number 2, when we get the next 20 user story, we don't experience the same issues that we did. We have to learn from the mistakes, and that's it. That's how continuously you're gonna, your team and you will be evolving, and it will feel like a real team. If you ever worked in a soccer team or badminton, whatever, like if you team up with anything in sports and you played that sports, you're gonna feel the same joy working in a Agile Scrum team. So just keep that in mind. Let me go into the right side. So now action item is going to be, for me, I'm going to say reach out to, reach out to, let's say, server manager, whatever, or DevOps. They're the one who does server stuff, DevOps, and ask them and tell them to let us know when they reboot. That may be because of the reboot, right? Reboot the server. Okay, so this is an action item. So I'm going to reach out to them. I'm going to reach out to their manager, not to them. So that way the manager goes and be like, hey, you guys are doing this. Let's not make that happen again. And that's the proper channel. This manager is going to go to the other manager rather than going to an individual in their team. Everybody in a company has different teams. Okay. And therefore they will listen to their bosses, right? So that's the way things will be resolved. And you tell your boss and your boss goes and tell their boss. That's how things will always work. So anybody, any question with retrospective meeting? We're just listing 2 things, what went well and what didn't go well. And if there is something that didn't go well, we will try to fix it by creating something, okay? Like an action item where this guy was going to go and do this work for you as a team. Any question, guys? So now is the time for you to shine, right? Now we're gonna do sprint number 2, and you guide me what's gonna happen, right? So I'm gonna pick 3 or 4 to, for the interest of time. If you want to go first, raise your hand. What you want to describe is that what's gonna happen in sprint number 2, based on looking in sprint number 1, and it's gonna be very much identical, because when you start a sprint, you need this. When you and then obviously after sprint 2 is going to be sprint 3, so you want to have this mid sprint, and then you want to do a sprint retrospective, but more importantly, you have daily stand-up meetings. So who wants to first summarize everything and tell me what you will do in the sprint 2 and this 2 weeks duration? And I will not pick until you guys kind of decide for yourself, and then I'll start picking. I'm gonna need 3 volunteers right now to describe what they have learned for the last 30-40 minutes, I believe. I don't know, 30 minutes. Yeah, last 1 hour. Okay. Give you guys 5 seconds. Raise your hand if you want to go first, and we go from there.
So this is Sanwar. So what is my understanding is
1 second. Okay, Hasina's there, and then sorry, I'm just trying to see who's talking. Hussein, right? You were talking?
yes.
Okay. Let me increase the volume. Maybe the volume on my side is low because I was not able to hear you. All right, I did increase my volume. We can start.
Okay, thank you. So before going to Spring 2, what is my understanding is we know what user stories are in backlog. So before planning next sprint, in the planning meeting, we can bring those backlog user stories and then plan for next sprint 2 user stories. This is number 1. And what is the what is your question? What is the other part of your question?
All right, guys, you're if you're doing annotation, unless you're speaking, you shouldn't be doing annotation. So let me remove this. You know, like the drawing right here, the red drawing. That's what I'm talking about. If you're talking and you want to use that, and then you have to clear it. So make sure if you are demonstrating anything and you're drawing into the board, I want you to clear it when you finish, so that way I can have a fresh start. Okay, so sprint number 2, tell me what this is, and then talk about these 3 meetings, when and exactly when they will be in place, and just talk about a little bit about the meeting that you understood: planning, what you'll do; grooming, what we will do; and retrospective, what we'll do; stand up, what you will do. So Hassan, let's start over again. I think I should have clarified that before. So you want to try?
Yeah. So overall, based on what I heard so far, and my understanding is saying that in the daily stand-up meeting is means what I actually did yesterday and what I'm doing today and what I will be doing tomorrow or the next working day. So this is all about the stand-up meeting. And before if you talk about the sprint, what it is in the sprint planning meeting, we will talk about how many user stories and committed stuff, like what we can able to execute in this time frame. And the meeting will be with your team, scrum master, developer team, and develop and databases team, or and the have to be product owner also. So right after this meeting, uh, we'll go for refinement meetings or grooming meetings, where we have to clarify or demonstrate that what is our capabilities is, and is there any requirement changes or any design document has been added or not. So we have to clarify these things in this meeting. It will be happen during this sprint, first week of sprint, I guess. And
backlog meeting, retrospective meeting where we actually, as you said very clearly, what we actually accomplished, teamwork, and also accesses with the working perspective, and what we had issued, what the bar or like blocks that deferred you to execute those tasks. So in the retro, or in the retrospect, or now backlog meeting, we will talk about what is we did not accomplish. That is so far my understanding is.
All right, that is excellent. This is if you said this in an interview, and I'm gonna confirm because we took an interview like very recently, and the candidate, one of our last, he was in our last batch. I don't think you'll believe me, but I'll say it anyway. That was his first call interview, and he got the job. So I didn't believe it myself, so I don't expect you to believe that either. But he pulled it off. If you said this the same thing in an interview, I would, if I was a manager taking an interview, I would be very much impressed. All right, so move on to another person who wants to try, right? Because this is, again, this is not about you knowing already. This is about you being able to express. Okay, just because you know it doesn't mean you can express that kind of thought, right? Or even if you can express, are you expressing it well? Well presentation is always matters. So the next volunteer, before I pick, right? So if there is no volunteer, I'll start picking.
Yes, teacher, I want to say something.
Sure, go ahead. You can.
Yeah.
So the question is the whole sprint. You walk me through here.
Okay, can I talk now?
Yes, go for it.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, Mr. Hussain, I think he will cover all of the part. Only I have a little information that my opinion is that here, every daily standard meeting, we have to first coordinate with the whatever what is happening, what we'll do every day, and update within the group, within the team. This is the daily stand-up meeting. I don't want to say again anything. And sprint one, that sprint planning meeting, that also we need to fix the story, and he cover all of these things. And
so let me stop you for 1 second, Hasina. Like I said, and we'll start over. And I want to make sure everybody clarifies. Even if Hussein says it, right, that's for himself, right? When we do an interview, right, like what I want my students to, or at least candidates to answer, is that what they know, what they did. So
okay, I understand.
Yeah, even if somebody answered, pretend you never heard it. And even if you have to copy them a little bit, because it's going to be hard for you not to like listen to some of the good things and say it yourself, right? So it's okay if you're saying some things that he said it good, just say that, repeat it, it's totally fine. But I want you to say it from you, that I think sprint daily stand-up meeting that will take place every day, and that's what we will be following. We have sprint planning, what happens in the beginning of the sprint, and then we have a sprint grooming that takes in the mid sprint, and then we have a sprint retrospective that takes place at the end, and then you can start explaining what these are on your own. So everybody that are in this call, just keep that in mind. Moving forward, it's about you. Okay.
Okay, I understand.
You just have to practice. This is your practice. This is your time.
Okay. So a daily stand-up meeting. I need to today I did something, and I don't get any bug. I am okay. I don't any block. Mm-hmm. So I will work the next story.
So Hasina, again, let me clarify the question. Question is, right now you're in an interview with all of these people, are maybe like, let's say, developers, QA. All of us are somebody, right? Yeah. And the manager, I'm asking a question like, hey, walk me through a sprint. What do you normally do? Walk me through a single 2 weeks time frame and what do you normally do? Or the question, it could be the other way, like just walk me through what you do as a QA. And you can probably answer the same way what Hossein answered in order to at least sound, but material is right in front of your eyes. You can say, okay, well, I usually start my day with daily stand-up. It happens every day for the whole sprint. We have sprint planning, what takes place you want to summarize that.
Okay.
Now, yeah, the last question that you answered, like what you do par, is different question than the question is overall, what do you do in this time duration?
Okay.
Let's start. It's fine. Let's start over.
Yeah.
It can be short.
I'm confused there.
No
Sorry.
problem.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Is we can do our daily standard work, daily standard meeting, and then we can go the sprint planning. Then we can go start the sprint grooming meeting, and then we can end with the sprint the retrospective meeting. So I can summarize something in sprint planning meeting. This is the sprint first, and it's early sprint. So we can store it. We can store, there is the user requirement, and there is a user story, and also there is the deadline, and also there is the team we work with, Scrum Master and developer, and also QA employee, and also business employee, or a business analyst. Okay. And PO, what is the meaning?
Product owner.
Product owner, yeah. So we can summarize the product owner requirement with all of the team, and we can start the sprint planning. And then mid of the sprint, we can again a place sitting a meeting for a sprint grooming meeting, and we can again we complete the work, and is there is a nothing to new, and we can continue that. And retrospective meeting is end of the sprint. We can place a meeting, and then what is the well, what is not well, we can coordinate with all of the team. Is there is anything happen is not well, we can inform the Scrum Master, and we'll share everyone that this is not well, what is the reason for not well, and we can fix it again, we can resolve the issue.
All right.
Thank you.
That's good. So again, like this, the way you said it, it's fine, but we will improve over time, right? When you are participating in the class, as you've seen that there is a lot of interaction. My class is going to be more interactive is because I focus more on the marketing. I focus more on making you prepared for the real world, right? We will follow the course syllabus, and we will then we'll be doing that from tomorrow. So
thank you.
That said, I think we had until like 1:30, but I have few things to mention before we finish. So I hope you guys have the time. All right, so first thing first, what you have witnessed today and just basically learned, this is, if you didn't understand anything and is out of context, I want to again tell you that it's okay, right? This is just me telling you what to expect from the first 2 weeks of work. Okay, just the meeting wise. Work wise, we haven't talked about it. You don't know what is the process of testing. You don't know the engineering process of testing. You don't know what SDLC, where you fit in, exactly when to start working, right? You don't know that, right? So we basically just, this is out of context, but at least this gives you a little bit of motivation, understanding your place in workplace, right? So imagine these 2 weeks happens over and over and over again for the whole year. and you follow these meetings, at some point you will be a pro. At some point you'll be like, it will be like an everyday thing for you. It'll be like, okay, yeah, I have a retrospective meeting today, and it'll be like nothing, right? You don't have to be nervous about it. You don't have to feel like, oh, I got to do this. The most important thing here is that if you know exactly what the planning will be, then you will never be nervous, because you know, here you're not the speaker. You're not going in there and trying to conquer the world. You're going there to kind of understand what it is that you'll be working for the next 2 weeks, and how do you do the sizing of those work. Is it appropriate to commit to 50 and not? By the way, this 50 points at the end, in the retrospective meeting, they will mention if you finished or not. So that in these 2 weeks, let's say you finish 48, your manager will say, guys, he'll probably pop in, the project manager, and say, hey, look, I looked at the sprint progress. You guys finished 48. I think that's a really close to what we committed, and proud all of you guys, blah blah. And he's probably gonna take you guys out on lunch or something, because in my first job, every time we finish a sprint, we would go out lunch for that day and end of the day. So retrospective meeting is done, and we're going to lunch, everybody together. And most of the time the manager would cover, like they would just pay it off from the company's credit card, but sometimes we just basically chip in. But the thing is here is that you work as a team. Think about, imagine you are, like, I don't know if you can visualize. I wish I can show you what it is that it looks like and how it feels to be part of a team, right? It's not just work. You are an engineer. Remember that. You will be an engineer who will make things new, because this user stories never existed. It just came into existence, and now you're working on it. So you're creating the test cases, test script, and then testing. Therefore, this work has never been done before. This is the first time. When you create something from scratch, you are an engineer, whether you write code or whether you don't write code. So don't let anybody tell you that you are not an engineer, because everything is done from scratch. The application that they're developing is being done from scratch. So if somebody asks you, what do you do? Software engineer. It's a very appropriate thing to say. But yes, to be more specific, you fall under QA, right? But not everybody understands what QA is, and outside of this, outside of the tech world. So you can say, yeah, I'm in the software industry, or I'm doing software work. That's it, right? But remember the significance of your work. You're part of the team, and you are part of the important team, because you have to make sure things that goes out of the door is 100% tested, and it will not harm anybody. Like, you work for Chase Bank, and now you tested something, and now let's say everybody that deposit $5 becomes half, right? Maybe 250 goes into like some rich man, whatever, something happened, you forgot, right? You forgot to test that. And now what will happen is that millions and billions of dollars is out of people's account. Everybody's going to call, and your call center is going to be on fire, because all the phone is going to literally get on fire because so many calls. And before your team can even fix this issue, the whole stress, the news media and everything that will come through is not worth you not having extra QA. So that's why when you work in a financial domain, you're going to see that maybe you have one test case for one day, which takes literally 10 minutes, but that's your work for the day and done. And it's because it's so important. So you don't just go in 10 minutes and you're done. I want you to test. I want you to find an issue. If you don't find an issue, I want you to try to find an issue with that. If you don't find an issue, do it again until you find an issue. There must be some issues that that developer has forgotten. So that's the mentality that I have. When I get an user story, I automatically assume is guilty, right? I'm automatically assuming developer is guilty of, putting some bug through, and that the reason why I would say that is because I used to be a developer, right? I did some development in one of my project, and sometime as a developer, we would leave some work because now in a sprint is very systematic, right? If I'm not finishing, my user story doesn't move, then everybody's going to reach out to me like, hey, how come you're not doing anything? So now I know that there are a few things that are unfinished and I can't finish it on time. I'll go ahead and push my code and send it over to QA. And I'll say, okay, QA will find it, right? So I'm relying on you. You come back and say, I found a bug. Like, great job, not a problem. Guys, again, if you're unmuting yourself, please just remember everybody's listening, right? And this is being recorded. But this was pretty disturbing. Anyway, so where I was. Yeah, so if I'm a developer and I see that I can't finish my work for some reason, and I'm just telling you a scenario, it's not that it happens every day. And I purposely left few things and you found it, and I'm telling you, hey, great work, you found the bugs, that's awesome. And we will, just go ahead and create a bug. Now I have a new assignment, okay? I finished my old assignment, now I have a new assignment. Think about this way, right? So it's almost sure that there's something that they haven't thought about and they missed it, or they missed it in purpose. Either way, you will have to find the bug. The other thing, guys, I want to make sure that moving forward, we're going to be very, very strict with the classes. You're going to be scored based on your homework. You're going to be scored also how much you participate here. And also there will be few people I will be, as an example, I'll be taking out of the class and give them a job. Just to motivate the rest of you guys, just to basically, and so if you want to be that lucky person, just keep focusing, because I will be taking you out of the class and I'll say, listen, I feel that you're ready. I will spend some time personally if you need extra help, but here it is. We're gonna go and start doing the placement right away. And this happened in our last sprint. Prior sprint, I try to do that every sprint to make an example that, hey, it doesn't have to be 4 months. If you're doing correctly, you may be getting in 3 months, you may be getting in 2 months, and you will shine up in the class, right? The other thing that I want to mention, if you're in the class and sitting and you have like background thing going on, it could be noise, it could be you doing some other things, I would say, it's your business, but remember, you're not learning anything. So if you think that I'm going to go and watch this video again, if you couldn't even do it live learning, how can you do that when you have the video up and running again, right? So my request to all of you guys, because we're here to help, we will pretty much, we spend the last whole week, and one of the reasons why we couldn't reach out to you guys, I think Morshin has been reaching out to you guys for finance situation, but one of the reasons I didn't reach out and Shantabai didn't reach out is because we planned for the last 4 months. We had to sit down, we had to have meetings that is, more than 2 hours long, to understand who will teach what and what are the topics that we'll be covering. And if that topic is appropriate for that person to teach, right? So remember, we're doing a lot of work in the background to make sure that we do things the right way. The time that I'm right now sitting around here, I am not doing anything else but teaching and talking to you guys. That's my time, right? It's not fair to anybody if that time you are doing something else and you have that just running in the background. So, everybody knows, how Zoom works. Everybody knows, it's been pandemic, people are doing things. But remember, if you're serious about it, you got to be serious about this, so that way we can take it seriously. And if you're here for a job, especially, that you should be very, very serious about this, because we're going to notice, and sooner or later you're going to fall short, and you're going to see that you missed maybe 3 homework, 4 homework, and Motion is going to reach out to you and say, look, you're pretty much on the borderline. We will have a matrix that will show how many times you attended the class, that will show that how many times you missed a homework, that will show that even if you did the homework, what was the material in it? Was it something that you just copy paste, or was it something that you actually understood? And lastly, we have the final project, which also dictates. There will be few people that will be exempt from final exam, which I mentioned. I will just pick you out because you did excellent in the class and you sound excellent and you participating in the class. Therefore, you deserve to be ahead of everybody else. Okay. So remember, it's not because you know me, it's because you did the work And so you deserve to be out there already looking for a job. When you unmute yourself and we hear noise, that means you're really like, it's really hard for you to focus. Learning is not possible if you really have so much noise going on. So try to be isolated and try not to rely on the video. We share the video, try not to rely on that, thinking that, oh, later I'll watch the video again and I will not learn. That is the mentality why a lot of QA guys get fired. For example, in this sprint planning, I will not ask questions. I will go ahead and later reach out to him, right? And then later comes, and then the developer will ask you, hey, this story has been in this sprint for 2 weeks. Why is in the world you finding a bug right here at this stage? Why couldn't you tell me before so we can fix it? And this is the last day before we release. This is going to be, and you'll have to answer. And then they have the data that it shows that it has been there since the day one, and you just coming up right now with the bug. That just shows that you decided to do all the work in the last minute. And you don't want to do that. A little bit of, this is just me advising based on people's mistakes from the last batch, previous batch, and the previous batch. There is every 6 months we have a batch, right? So keep in mind that, in order for you to be successful, first you have to take us seriously, and we will take you seriously. And then the strictness of learning, very quickly things will get more advanced. And so you may fall out of the class because you feel like, I'm not learning anything, which means what? You didn't give yourself a fair chance, right? You have to give yourself a fair chance. That means isolated room where you sit down and you just listen, okay? And also you do the homework and everything else to make sure that you give yourself the fair chance. If you say, I can't do it, I'm not capable of doing this, you know what? I don't think I am, ready for this, or you know what, this is too much work, I can't do it. It's only because you didn't take this class and enjoyed it. You have to be able to enjoy it. In order for you to enjoy, no noise background, nothing else that you should be doing in these hours. This is happening live for a reason and not recorded, because we have every class we record. That means our last 3, 4, 5 batch, everything, we have different version when we do the class, and we could have just easily just, okay, just keep watching. There is a reason why we do the live. And also the enforcement of homework, enforcement of the participation in a class will kick in, because we want to make sure that, we are looking after you, right? So don't mind us when we say, hey, you didn't do the homework. Tell me the reason why, and then explain to me, and right? Or reaching out to you privately. You're going to see that either Moshin or Shantabai, somebody's going to reach out to you and say, hey, last 2 classes you haven't joined, or you know what, last 3 classes you have been late. Can we help you with something? What it is that you need from us to be successful, right? Remember, take this as like this is your job. This is a job right now, okay? We will do the performance review toward the end to determine whether you're ready for the market. It depends, everything depends on you, because when you go out there and working, do you want to lose your sleep because you didn't pay attention to the class, or do you want to be happy? If you want to be happy, start paying attention right now. And you know who you are. I'm not going to point nobody, and again, we're not here to criticize. I am here to help. So try to be, an adult. We don't have to be, going out and call you and say, hey, look, you missed 2 class. You didn't tell us why. Or, hey, you missed 2 homework and you didn't tell us why. Or you're coming late every day. What is the deal? We, just try to be adult, take us seriously, trust me, and we'll take you seriously. Otherwise, you're going to see that sooner or later, one of us is going to call you and say, look, performance has been, really bad. Seems like, we want to save you time. We want to save you time. So let's just do one thing. Maybe you want to look elsewhere, or maybe you want to join the next badge because this badge is already to the extent where you can't catch up anymore. So catching up will be also something that you will not be able to do if it's like already like 5 classes ahead, and now who's going to sit down with you for 5 classes? 1 class you missed, not a problem. 2 you missed, not a problem. But remember, attention, take us seriously, and then we'll be good. I think Shantabai is on the line. Tomorrow's class, Shantabai, you want to just explain to all of them, and then we'll end the day. Anybody with any question for me before I hand over to Shantabai, and then we're gonna end it in like next 2 minutes.
I have two questions.
Sure.
So the first one is, if I remember, like you said in the spring grooming meeting, there might be 20 like new user stories that would go towards the sprint 2. So we would discuss in the sprint planning meeting. Was it like that? Or the sprint 2 is completely different?
Yeah, so sprint 2 is like completely different. So let's say we're talking about month of January. The first 2 weeks is sprint 1, right?
Okay.
Where you have, and then I'm gonna mute you for a second. Okay, I'm hearing echo. All right, so now where did the 20 came from? Somebody had to review this ahead of time to make sure it's ready to be, discussed in this meeting. So because this 2 weeks was the first ever for the team, maybe this sprint grooming took place already ahead of time, right? Now, when the sprint number 2 will begin, in the meantime, basically the BA, what BA is doing in the meantime, right? His work is to make sure that, are we ready to work on the next sprint? So in the mid sprint, what he's going to do from here to here, BA is going to think about that, what can we include into the sprint number 2 for work? So now he'll take those 20, 30, 40, whatever user stories that he thinks that you are able to do. And he's gonna, in this time frame right here, the first week, he's gonna work on them to make sure that it's readable, to make sure that it has all the information that we mentioned, right? And then on the mid sprint, he's gonna come back and he's gonna say, guys, let's have a meeting. I've been working on the user stories, such user stories for the sprint 2. I just want your input. In this meeting, BA is going to ask you a question. Is it ready? Is it good? Do you have any question? You say, no, we're good. Then 20 user stories will be ready to be introduced to sprint number 2 at the time of sprint planning meeting. And then these 20 will be worked on, is done. Same thing, repeat. Think about infinity situation here, like 1-2 weeks done, and then in the next 2 weeks, and the next 2 weeks, and the next 2 weeks. And it's just going to go on and on until the project is done.
So basically we'll have grooming meeting like twice for one work, like one.
Just one for one sprint.
So during the work, that's one planning meeting and one retrospective meeting.
Correct.
Because the grooming is done before the work is given.
Grooming is done on the, so again, grooming is done for the future sprint, right? Because these stories has no relation with this 20 story. This 20 stories worked is done right here. And this 20's work will be done right there. The next feature sprint, it could be 3, 4, 5, doesn't matter. And so that's where you will be, because the reason is you want to make sure everything is completed, right? You need to have all of this information. You don't want to talk about it in the sprint planning where it'll get too much. It may take the entire day for you to go through each and every single user story. If the BA is lazy, then he'll combine this too. And then have you guys work on it too. Like, okay, so what guys, tell me about this story. Is it good? And you're gonna say, no, it's missing this. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll add it. And he'll do it right there. And that's not a good practice for the BA. He should be working on that in this time and making it ready. So when you're in the sprint, you just confirm it's good, it's not good. Or you know what, we need this, we need that. Then he will take a note. And then the next 2 weeks, next 1 week, he will just fulfill those notes that you mentioned. And then by that time, sprint number 2 is ready to be, introduced, because sprint 1 retrospective took place. That means it's done. Then sprint planning starts for the next sprint, and that's when he's gonna say, guys, I've been working on these 20 user stories, and these are ready. Let's work on for the next sprint. And now you guys gonna do the same thing. You guys will do the estimation and all that as a team to make sure that you guys are, able to finish those 20 stories.
Okay, so first we do the grooming meeting and then planning and then the retrospective.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And the next question is, for the upcoming classes, during the daily stand-ups, do we say what we actually did in the previous day, or we imagine ourselves in a workplace and then talk about it?
All right, so that's a good question. If you have something that is, because we like to hear that what you did. So if you did actually do something related to the class, then you can talk about it. But if you didn't do anything at all, then you can do a hypothetical situation where, hey, so yesterday I worked on so and so, and then you can say it. But I'm sure moving forward from today, you will have something to say, because you want to do research, you want to basically get more knowledgeable. If you are out there learning something on your own, we don't mind that. That is more for us to kind of help you, because now if you're learning also from outside sources like YouTube, it only helps us to place you out there for a job. Remember, the end goal, the end game here is to get you a job. So keep that in mind. This is a job oriented training. We're not here to give you a degree or anything. We're here to make sure that at the end you're able to do the job and get a job. All right. So with that said, guys, because we're going to be, we're almost over by 30 minutes and everything. We don't want to keep you guys waiting. Just a few things that I'll mention, and then Shantavai will come in and he'll mention a few things. One of the thing is that we've been reaching out, and I also try to get on the phone on Friday, and some of you guys didn't answer. So obviously I don't expect you to answer if you're busy, but if you do get a call from us, and it is because of the finance, right? We're doing onboarding right now, meaning you paid for the first month, and therefore your name goes into a roster, right? And that roster where we track your homework and everything else, right? Your payment and everything else, trust me. And that means you are registered with us. Moving forward, you're going to notice tomorrow's class is still free. So moving forward, you're going to notice that people that are enrolled, only they're getting the link. And then we'll make few exceptions for those that didn't. Maybe they want to do it a couple of days later. That's fine. We'll give you a link, but just let us know that, hey, I am not able to do the payment right now, but I will be able to do it tomorrow or day after. Therefore, can I get the link so I don't miss the class? So just communicate, and then look out for another group. We're going to have a group where only registered student, only student that has been paying will be into that group. It will not be fair to you if you're paying and we are introducing other students that may not be paying. So we will make sure that that group always get their answers. If there's anything at all that you need, homework related questions or anything, you will be getting a right response to that. So just keep your eyes on for Mohsin's call. He will explain. He may call you, and then if you have any question, you can ask him. The other thing that I would like to mention to you guys, because this is, again, I want to make sure that you are spending your money to the right place. If for any reason 6 months goes by, 4 months class is done, 6 months goes by, and I was not able to place you on a job, we have all the record on our end. Just give your request. Hey, I didn't get anything out of this. Can I get my money back? Yeah, sure. That's not a problem. We will gladly give your money back, because we don't want to we're not doing totally, the whole motivation here and the passion that comes from us, it's not because of the money, only money help us to continue to market and continue to basically move forward and be able to do something different and more creative to make sure that you guys learn. But motivation here is that as many as people gets a job, we feel that this gives us the reason why we continue to do these classes. And we've been doing it from 2013, and every class, every session that we do, we try to finish the session, not just like start a new session without getting them jobs. So we try to at least get majority of the people job before we move forward with the next session, the next class. So 4 months and then 2 months, we just take the time to make sure that all of you guys gets a job. Majority of you guys will get a job within the 2 months, to be honest. And that is if you did the homework, you paid attention, you took us seriously, right? All of it. And yeah, so like I said, if you have any question related to payment, let us know. But think about this way, just be straightforward with the payment, so that way we don't have to you don't have to feel like you're just basically being called and texted all the time and getting notifications and things like that. And keep in mind, the bigger portion is after you get a job, right? So it's nothing compared to the other schools. I would welcome you to find out what their payment structure is if you are in touch with any of the other schools like PNT and other schools that I can think of. But yeah, Shantabhai, if you want, you can give them an idea about the next class. I'm done. If you guys don't have any questions, thank you guys, and I'll see you next Sunday. And we're gonna do Sunday and Wednesday classes, and Shantabhai will talk about the timing, and yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel Bhai. And
Thank
thank you all who still in the class. So good afternoon, everyone. So as Joel Bhai mentioned, tomorrow's class will be still as part of a free trial for new students. So we have class scheduled tomorrow, and I already shared the link with all of you. If any of you did not get the link for tomorrow's class, please reach out to us. Also, as Joel Bhai mentioned, today's class and last week's Saturday also, it was a big picture that what you'll be doing. We will go through all the details. These meetings, this 2 weeks sprint sounds so simple right now, but there are a lot of work you have to do, right? You have to follow a lot of process, you have to use a lot of tools, you have to communicate with your team, with professional aspect, right? So you will be learning professional behavior also. You need professionalism, right, to survive. Sometimes if you just follow professional behavior communication, you will be surviving without like having real work, at least for few months, few weeks. And also in the beginning, you will have time to catch up with the team, with the company's structure, company's other expectation. But from tomorrow, I will start from day one. This tomorrow will be actually our day one for the course. So tomorrow, 11 o'clock, we will start. And we have 2 sessions, 11 to 12:30 first session, and then 30 minutes break for lunch or anything. And then from 1 to 2:30, the second session. So we'll continue from tomorrow. As Joel Bhai said, Mohsin Bhai will be communicating with you about onboarding process, but at the same time, you can join tomorrow also. If you are committed, you will see more details during the class about your next 4 months. So tomorrow is the beginning, and today you saw the bigger picture, and we'll go through all the details. You will be learning a lot of stuff that you need to survive in the job, that you need to get the job actually. As Joel Bhai mentioned, this is job-oriented program. We are not teaching like a college that every single topic 4 months, then this way you will not learning much. So we'll only concentrate that you need for the job, that you need to perform better, to be successful as a QA. So anytime you have any question, you can ask during the meeting, you can ask through our chat. As Joel Bhai mentioned, going forward, you will see a different group chat, WhatsApp group chat or email communication for our registered student. So you can communicate anytime through this chat. If you miss class, just let us know. We will have the recording all the time. We'll share the recording, and also after you reviewing those recording, if you have any question, we can set up a call with you one-to-one. So that will be actually part of your next 4 months. So just one thing you have to be in mind, just try to commit hours, right, for this course. I always mention, if you don't have 15 hours a week for this course, you will not be successful. You need at least 15 hours per week for practice, doing homework, and know everything you need. So anybody has any question? So I already shared the meeting invite for tomorrow, which is 11 o'clock. If you don't have any question, we can close the call today and try to join on time. That's one of the things, just try to join on the time. Any question anybody has? You can just ask.
No, no question.
Okay, thank you. So Joel bhai, we can close the call today. So we'll continue from tomorrow.
That's great, guys. Thank you. And again, congrats to those who are going to stay with us, because definitely market is really good for the time being for remote jobs, especially 90% of our students, actually all of them got remote jobs. Few with exceptions where they have to go 1 or 2 days. So, all right, guys, see you guys tomorrow, and
Thank you.
and
Thank
reach out to
you.
us if you have any question. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.